How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We're talking about Workhorse today because there's some really interesting information that came out in the Q3 earnings. We talked about production numbers for Q3, production numbers for 2021, how they're working on refrigeration with a whole new engineering team, how they're putting more resources to drone development, a decrease in the amount of deliveries, how many they were actually able to deliver, and we also got a really interesting and funny moment from a short seller that was on the earnings call. He called in and tried to make Workhorse look bad, and they did a very good job of responding to his questions. So definitely stay through to the end of this video because I'm going through all of it. I want to go straight from my notes here and then straight from their earnings report that was online. Very interesting. Not everything was covered just in their earnings, so you have to stay through to hear from the conference call. They gave some really good guidance. So if you guys like this, if you guys like Workhorse, if you want to see them do well, please hit the like button. I really appreciate it. It will push this video out to more people. Also, if you want to support the channel, there is a link down there to WeBull where you can get 3 free stocks. This is going for another 7 days, 6 days, something like that. So you should definitely get those stocks now. All you have to do is deposit $100. So definitely check that out. So Workhorse has been up and down today. I mean, they were up plus 7% in the pre-market. Now they're down 1%. This was kind of a mixed bag. Their earnings was kind of mixed, and we got some good news, some bad news, some awesome news, some not great news, and let's cover it all right here. But before we do, we did get news before the earnings that they received a purchase order for 500 C1000 all-electric delivery trucks from Pritchard companies. And I covered this in a video this morning. I talked about the significance of this and why this was actually really good for the company. And I did a full video on it. But if you want the short version, Pritchard Family Automotive and Pritchard companies, they rent their vehicles and sell their vehicles to other suppliers, to other people that need delivery vans. So this is a company that's been around for 107 years. It's pretty significant because they have that order for 500. And in the conference call, they talked about how they had 5 trucks delivered to them in the third quarter, and then they ordered 500. So I don't know exactly the timeline, but that's how they said it, that they delivered the trucks and then they put in the delivery and the order for 500. So this is a pretty good sign. I mean, this means that Pritchard really likes their vehicles, and typically they're just ICE vehicles that they give out and sell, but they are going into the EV space. So they're going to use Workhorse vans. So again, if you want to see the longer version, I'll put it on the end screen about Pritchard and more about this order and why it's significant, but we'll get into the earnings here. So I'm just going to go through pretty much line by line some of the news in here because this is jam-packed with good information. So they set, first of all, they set their 2021 production target volume to 1,800 vehicles. This is obviously a lot more than the 300 to 400 that they set for this year. However, they did tell us in the conference call that they were only delivering 7 vehicles in Q3. So at first they said a handful of vehicles, then they gave some more guidance after someone questioned them and said that they have delivered 7 vehicles and 5 to Pritchard. So they explain why this was, why they only had 7 for this last quarter, a little bit further down in here. But again, they say that they received the purchase for 500 C1000 trucks. Through various financing, the company has improved its cash position to over $260 million. This is a significant increase from where they were before. They also hit on the fact that LMC, or Lordstown Motors, was able to actually go public via their stock ticker RIDE, and that they have a 10% ownership in the company, which means that they have about $285 million worth of equity in RIDE stock. They also talk about how they partnered with Hitachi and how they are increasing their production via Hitachi's help and guidance. So in their conference call, they talked about how they are implementing some of the strategies that Hitachi had. The other thing is they recorded new vehicle sales from Fluid Systems and eTrucks LLC. In the conference call, they talk about how they are smaller orders, but it's signifying that they can both sell on the large scale through companies like Pritchard and also small scale like Fluid Systems and eTrucks. Now, as we go down, you can see our strategic partnership approach to engaging with dealerships has paid off quickly, as evidenced by our recent 500 truck order from Pritchard Auto Company that will be financed through Hitachi. We believe this initial sale is just the start of this channel's growth. We were also encouraged by the results of a positive dealer survey administered by HCA that looked favorably on the long-term prospects for the EV delivery truck market, and in particular Workhorse within that ecosystem. So during the conference call, there were a lot of numbers that they gave when they were talking about this specific survey, so it was kind of hard to follow, but they said that 47 dealers responded to the survey, and 84% of these dealers had customers that were asking about EV. A lot of companies, a lot of customers are asking about EV in the delivery space. Hughes said that previously they had projected 300 to 400 vehicles to be produced by the end of 2020, mostly in the fourth quarter. Although we will still manufacture and deliver vehicles in Q4, it will be substantially lower than our previous guidance. We were unable to give a specific estimate for the following reasons. Now, this is the part that a lot of the investors didn't like. This is why the stock went down, I believe, on this earnings report, because this was something that I've been saying that I wanted to see them increase deliveries. This is something that's really important because they have a large backlog of vehicles, and I'll talk to you about how many they've added to that backlog this last quarter, but they have a large backlog and they just can't fill the orders fast enough. As we said, they only have 7 deliveries in Q3. This is the main thing that I want to see out of them, along with the USPS contract over the next few months. Now, they say that inability of our primary battery supplier to meet our volumes due to capacity issues and pandemic-related slowdowns was one of the main reasons that they couldn't reach their goals. Also, they had 36% of their production-related staff currently out and being quarantined, awaiting results, and with daily increases in cases, we must protect our employees' health. I understand that. That does seem like a very high number to me, 36%. I mean, I just quit my job a few weeks ago, but we did not have near 36% of people out right now or at any one time. Maybe they're talking about at one point or another, they had to be out for something. And I could understand that, about a third of the workforce being out for some amount of time due to the pandemic. But they say that they view this as only a delay in their progress. We've introduced several new battery supplier options into the supply chain, and we will have supplemental volume additions in the first quarter of 2021. So they don't know how much this will impact them going into the future in 2021, but they are expecting 1,800 delivery units in 2021. Now, I don't know where they're getting this number, the fact that they delivered 7 after delivering 2, so 2, 7, and now they're saying 1,800 in 2021. That seems a little bit high to me, but they do have that backlog. They do have that support network of different companies that will help them manufacture with Lordstown and with their own company. So whether we actually have that production help from Lordstown or not, they are saying 1,800 units. Now here they go through some of the highlights, and again, stick through because there was some juicy information in the call. They received a purchase order of the 500 C1000s. They have the application to the FAA for the Horsefly. They received approval from New York Truck Voucher Incentive Program. They closed $200 million in convertible notes. And as you go down, they have more information. The 160 miles per charge. They have the agreement with Hitachi. They have the partnership with Lordstown Motors entered into business combination with Diamond Peak and how they went public. And they have the California Air Resources Board designating multiple C-Series models as zero-emission trucks. Now, they say that their sales for the third quarter were at 565,000 compared to 4,000 in the third quarter of 2019. That's not a huge amount, but that is 10 or 11 vehicles worth, so that is a good sign. I mean, it was an increase, but the thing that I don't love to see is the cost of goods sold increased to 2.8 million from 1.4. So yeah, they increased their sales by 560,000, but they increased their cost of goods sold by 1.4 million. Now, part of that might just be the fact that they have sold a lot of vehicles and they just haven't actually been able to deliver. So maybe that's why the sales hasn't gone up as much as the cost of goods sold, and that might be part of that. The general and administrative expenses increased to 6 million from 2.6. Research and development was about the same, 1.6 million. Their interest expense was huge, so 74.3 million compared to 5.9 million last year. Now, they're saying, though, that this was almost exclusively due to the change in fair value of the company's convertible note. So their net loss was about $84 million compared to $11.5 million. Again, a lot of that was just due to those convertible notes. And you can see more information down here. They give the exact numbers, but it's pretty much what they say above, so I'm not going to go too much into that. Let me know if you guys do want me to go into that, but I want to get on to what they said in the actual conference call. So they're ready to implement Hitachi's suggestions because they actually went through and did their survey. They gave them some suggestions for how to increase deliveries and increase the manufacturing process. They also said that they did have those sales for e-trucks and fluid systems, and they did buy some small amount of vehicles. They did add 45 people to their production team. So if you remember, they were trying to add 200. That was what was put up for their job posting, but they added 45 to the production team. Not quite the number that we wanted to see, but 45 is a decent amount. They have a handful of vehicles produced. Now, later on, someone called in and asked, what does that exactly mean? And like I said earlier, they said that they delivered 7 vehicles in Q3. So not a huge amount, not what we want to see, but it is an increase. They said that, again, it was due to the pandemic. That was the main issue. Now, in 2020, they have no target number for production. This is not great. I mean, I would like to see more guidance from the company. I think they are just saying, though, that due to the pandemic, they don't know if people will be in or not. But that is kind of an excuse that I don't really like to hear. I mean, there are a lot of other companies that are saying this too, I guess. But I would really like to have more guidance because this is a very speculative company. Now, in 2021, like I said, they're expecting 1,800 vehicles. They did mention the fact that they are getting 2.07 credits for EV. So these OEM credits, now they are saying that this will be beneficial. They didn't say how much this would actually equate to, and maybe you guys know how much money they would get. They can sell these credits to other companies, kind of like Tesla does, where Tesla makes EV. They actually sell their credits to other companies, and this has been a major revenue stream for them. This is the reason that they've been positive net income for a long time. So the fact that they're getting these credits is really good for the company. They will probably be able to sell these and get some extra revenue from that. Now, an exciting thing that they talked about was refrigeration vehicles are being worked on by a new engineering team. So part of their capital is going to hire new engineers, and they actually have been working on their refrigeration vehicles because they've been getting a lot of people wanting these refrigeration vehicles. That's what they said. They're also putting more resources to drone development. So they're in that 12-month to 18-month span where they are waiting for the FAA to look over their drones, but they are putting more resources into this to try to develop it even further. So that is pretty exciting. I mean, I'm not sure I would like them to spread out their resources this much. I'd rather have them focus really in on the deliveries and increasing manufacturing, because while the refrigeration and the drone systems are very exciting, I really want them just to increase their manufacturing. I mean, if they were just a one-trick pony and they could just deliver more vehicles, I would be okay with that. The other parts of their business are very exciting, but I really want to see those delivery numbers increase. Now, there was a question about the USPS news, and they are not allowed to give any guidance on that. They're not allowed to talk about it. USPS, they said, would be the people that came out and announced this first. So they are not giving any guidance on that right now. Now, someone else asked, okay, how do we break down next year's delivery numbers? That you say 1,800 vehicles are supposed to be delivered, but what's this look like? When should we expect 1,800? So how many per quarter? And they said that they were expecting in the first quarter 100 a month. They really want to hit that 100 a month milestone sometime in Q1, and then in Q2 they want to be able to hit 200 a month. So this puts them pretty much on pace for 1,800. That is a significant amount more than they're producing now. I mean, 7 deliveries this quarter is about 2 a month. They're hoping to increase this 100x. Now, whether they can do this, we'll see hopefully in the next couple quarters. Now, their backlog right now is sitting at 1,700 vehicles. This is pretty large number. They had a backlog of 1,200 vehicles before. They got an extra 500 vehicles in this order. So you would expect, about 1,700 vehicles like they say. They haven't really been able to deliver many vehicles recently. So they're thinking that they're going to have more orders by the end of the year. And pretty much all these orders, all this 1,700 vehicle backlog will hopefully be produced by next year. And again, if we get the USPS contract, a lot of that will have to be pushed to 2022 when you consider the fact that they have 1,700 vehicles in the backlog. Now, they also had an interesting little question from Craig Irwin. So if you remember, Craig Irwin was part of kind of a pump and dump scheme by Roth Capital, where they came out with news that they were increasing their price target on Workhorse to, I think, $33 a share. And then they were talking about how they were so bullish on it. And then a few days later, they talked about how we weren't going to get the USPS contract for a while longer than they thought, but it had been kind of put out there that we weren't going to expect it till the end of the year. So they put out all this news that the USPS contract was going to be soon, even though most of us already had known that they were looking at the end of the year. And then they decreased their price target a few days later and put out the fact that they were expecting a delay in the USPS contract and how that decreased their bullishness on the stock. Craig Irwin came on to the call and asked them questions, trying to make them look bad. It's actually really funny. They did a good job of explaining it, though. He was trying to talk about why they haven't gotten other battery suppliers to back up and why that was a problem for their delivery process and why that decreased their delivery numbers. They did have a good response, though, saying that they have been trying to expand their number of suppliers. So if you guys want to see that, I think Jack Spencer actually had the live stream. It was really interesting. You can go check that out. He was cracking up when Craig Irwin came on. It was hilarious. But definitely check that out after you check out this video. But overall, I would say if I had to give this a grade, I'd say probably about a solid B, maybe B minus, B plus, somewhere in there. I really would like to see more deliveries. I was really expecting more deliveries, probably about 40 to 50 deliveries. That's where I wanted to hit. We didn't see that. But overall, the fact that we got that extra order of vehicles, I think is exciting. That kind of puts a little extra padding. If for some reason we can't get the USPS contract, that is $25 million or so in revenue that we should be able to expect going forward. We are trying to increase deliveries, and while we didn't see 40 or 50 vehicles, we did see 7 during this spike in pandemic cases. I mean, I don't know how hard that city was actually hit, so I guess that's something that they can't necessarily control fully. Hopefully, though, we see increased production for Q4. We are still waiting on the USPS contract also, so hopefully we will see that coming up. Let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know what you think about the earnings in general and what you would like to see going forward. I'd be really interested in hearing. Again, if you want to see that video that I made this morning on the new contract with Pritchard and why that's so important, definitely check out this video right here. Thank you for checking out WeBull and hitting the like button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.